Welcome back to another All AZ Bets video. Chris Schubert, Eric Cohen here once again, taking a break from the football action. We figured with it being the All-Star break and there being no baseball going on, this is a chance for Eric and I, based on the hat that you see me wearing, the shirt that you see Eric wearing, we'd refresh the baseball odds and we take a look at who's favorite to win both the National League, the American League, and the World Series. And we had this whole thing mapped out, planned out. And Eric says, no, I didn't bet any of those, those favorites in the American League or National League. I just picked World Series matchups. Yep. So I don't know where Eric is going here on today's episode. But Eric, you told me in the pre-show you have a couple different matchups that you want to run by me.
Yeah, I bet two matchups, one team from the American League and two from the National League. And I'm very confident in my American League team. That is who I believe is the best team in baseball. You're going to laugh at me when you find out who that is. It is not who you think it is. I'll say that. But in the National League, Chris, that's where things get a little interesting. So I think we should start there tonight.
Okay. So there are two National League teams, and my assumption is that you took both of these National League teams and you've paired them with the American League team.
That's correct.
Separate bets. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So my first guess, and you've been teasing this up to me all week in the lead up to this video.
Yeah.
So it would do me no favors to not guess this team first. I'm wearing the hat that this team is. I will guess the New York Mets first.
And I would say you're correct because Atlanta's done without Acuna. The Marlins are a joke. The Nationals don't care right this year since they got their title a few years ago. And the Phillies have a long way to go. So the Mets are a shoe-in there in the NL East. I don't trust the Brewers in the Central. I don't think they, in any capacity, can win the National League. And the NL West is down to three teams. And obviously I picked one of those three, the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants. So I'm going to take my shot with the Mets, figuring, hey, listen, maybe they get to play the Brewers in the first round and, maybe I'll get lucky and they'll face the other team that I'm picking in the NLCS, and then I'll have a chance to hit that side of the bet.
You certainly like the fact that it's probably their division to lose in so many regards, right? And by winning your division, you put yourself at such a good advantage. You don't want to be in that wild card spot. You don't want to be battling in those games to then play the best team in the National League. The Mets put themselves in a position to probably face the winner of the NL Central. So yeah, good call there. Yeah. I'm going to guess that the second National League team is the San Diego Padres.
Well, you nailed it. And my reason for going with the Padres is I just don't trust the Dodgers. We don't know what's going to happen with the Trevor Bauer situation. And I feel like the Giants are going to fade. Kevin Gausman is not going to pitch like Garrett Cole the rest of the season, though I have him on my fantasy team. So I hope he does, but I just don't see it happening. And I think the Padres will make a couple of moves at the deadline. And they're going to be a fun young team the rest of the year and going forward. So I see a Padres and Mets NLCS. Right now, the Padres are 4-1 to win the NL. The Mets are 4.5 to 1. Dodgers are 2-1. Brewers 5-1. Giants 5-1. I'll take those middle chances and go with it. Do you think I'm off base or I'm onto something there?
No, those would be the two teams that I would pick. And you're looking at betting World Series matchups. So there's another piece to this puzzle, and that's the American League team. But if I was just looking and you laid out the odds there, those would be the two teams I would pick to win the National League, just because I think their odds are good. And I think their chance to win the National League is up there. I agree with you about the Brewers. I think we might see them fade a little bit. The Giants, I'm certainly not buying. I do want to make a correction. You said it's not like Kevin Gausman can continue to pitch like Garrett Cole all season. The correct sentence is it's not like Kevin Gausman can continue to pitch like Jacob deGrom the rest of the season. I would just like to make that subtle correction there.
Thank you.
Mixed up your New York pitchers, but that's okay. We move on. So the American League team, you've completely confused me on this because you said it's not who I think it is.
Nope.
Yet this is the best team in the American League.
All right. Well, let's look at it. Right now, the best team in the American League, there are two of them that are tied. That's Houston and Boston. The Astros 3.5 games up on Oakland in the NL West or the AL West. Seattle's above 500, and so are the Angels, but I don't see either one of them threatening Houston. I think Houston makes the playoffs there. The White Sox are 8 games up on the Indians in the Central. They're long gone. I am not choosing either one of those teams, though I did consider Houston. So I believe the winner of the American League will come from the... Okay,
hold on. Because it would be I think where you're going with this is where I would go with this. It's a team that I think doesn't have top 2 odds to win the American League, but I think their odds are really good when you consider the way this team performs.
Yes.
Did you pick Kevin Cash in the Tampa Bay Rays?
Yes, I did.
I love this pick.
I think it's 6.5 to 1 to win the AL. And I got the two matchups of Rays Padres and Rays Mets, both at 35 to 1, Chris. I mean, that's incredible value for, other than his pulling Blake Snell in Game 6 last year in the World Series, Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball. Yeah. Well, we probably should have left
save that for another time.
Okay, that's another show. Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball. I don't trust Aaron Boone and the Yankees. Rockies. I know they're going to try to make some moves, but I just don't trust their pitching, even if Severino comes back. I do like the Blue Jays. I just don't think they're playoff tested yet. So I'm not going to go with them. And I think Boston doesn't have the pitching to sustain itself for a long time. Tampa's bullpen is so good. They can mix and match every game and have some guy pitch 3 innings and 3 innings and 2 innings and an inning here and win games like that with that offense. And Wander Franco, once he starts to swing a hot bat, love that at 6.5 to 1. And I love them to win the World Series, Chris, even better. Let's see. The odds that I'm getting now are 14 to 1. Love it.
Yeah, I can get them at 12 to 1 to win the World Series. And I think it's a pretty good bet. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, Eric, at pitching. And I think what allows the Rays to be so competitive, again, they've won 53 games in the first half of the season, is the way Kevin Cash manages his team throughout the course of the season. He sets them up for the way playoff baseball is nowadays, where you have to be willing to very early on in the game, go to your bullpen and ask guys to get multiple outs, right? To ask guys to give you 6 outs, sometimes 9 outs, depending on the reliever in a certain situation. Well, guess what? Kevin Cash does that all throughout the year. He's not afraid to, after 3 or 4 innings, take a starter out of the game and turn to that bullpen. He's not afraid to use an opener and ask the opener to get him 6 outs, which is something that you might see him do in the playoff. He manages the regular season with an eye towards, hey, I know I've got a team that can compete. I know I've got a team that can go to the World Series. I want to set them up for success. And that's what allows me to agree with you and say, yes, Tampa, I can get them at 12 to 1. You can get them at 14 to 1. They're a pretty good favorite. Toronto, I have the same concerns. Do they have enough pitching to hold up throughout the course of the season? Boston, same question. I think Houston, you can ask similar questions about, despite how well they've been playing this year. So I think a battle-tested team, a team that's been there before. They're the defending American League champions. Their roster has been overhauled, but this is the Tampa Bay Ray formula. They just rotate guys in and out. They constantly find new guys, and they have a manager who seemingly knows when to push the right button. In an era and in a time in baseball when managers seem to do less and less, it seems like Kevin Cash is doing more and more to get the most out of that 25-man roster. It's impressive to watch.
Yeah, and I would completely agree with that. But this team also has the makings to me of the 2014-2015 Kansas City Royals. I hate to bring up bad memories for you.
Appreciate that.
In
Thank
2015.
you. Yeah, thanks.
But you look at it, the Royals in 2014 lost in Game 7, 1-0 to the Giants and Madison Bumgarner. Alex Gordon had that triple, I believe, to get him on third base, and then they didn't score and lost 1-0 in Game 7. The Rays were real close to win to at least, making it a Game 7 and possibly winning that series last year. I think they get over that hump this year and play either the Padres or Mets, who don't have that playoff test just yet. And I think they can win the World Series and, great odds. If you're going to do something, I would rather bet the Rays at 14 to 1 than any team in the NFL right now to win the Super Bowl.
So I look at this, and this is a very weird position for me to be in, because I'm actually going to suggest the New York Mets as a bet to win the World Series, because you can get them outright at 10 to 1. And listen, I think they're a team right now that's winning their division. We just mentioned how likely it is that they continue to win that division because of just Atlanta, probably their biggest threat, major injury, losing Ronald Acuna Jr. for the season.
They're done. It's over.
And they already aren't getting Mike Soroka back because he tore his Achilles again. So they've already been dealt 2 big blows in that regard in terms of injuries. And I look at a Mets team right now that's winning that division, isn't playing their best baseball, is supposed to get a couple of pitchers back at some point. And I think for the first time in a really long time, they are set up to make a splash at the trade deadline and bring in multiple pieces that can help this team. So get them at 10 to 1 now, because if they get hot the way they normally do in the second half, they get those guys back, Carlos Carrasco, Noah Syndergaard, that we expect them to get back at some point during the second half. Plus they make a big acquisition. Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs certainly is a name that we could throw out there. If they do those 3 things, man, I think 10 to 1 is going to be great value, because I think they're only going to go up, because I think they're going to win more games and they're going to run away with this division. So I love the teams that you picked here.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. If DeGrom can pitch possibly 3 times in the World Series, even if the third time is in relief, a la what Madison Bumgarner did in 2014, you never know that might be good value for the Mets, because DeGrom's probably not losing more than once in the World Series at most.
I will tell you this right now. I see Noah Syndergaard filling that Madison Bumgarner role. I've been telling all of my friends that I think that's what he's coming back in September, is only going to make a handful of starts before the postseason. And I think they're going to want to watch that elbow, because he's already had a couple setbacks. So I think he takes that Madison Bumgarner workload and pitches maybe 1-2 innings, makes a start here and there. And he's just going to be their workhorse that they're going to use in so many different ways. If I wanted to jump on the Atlanta bandwagon, and I know I said I'm out on them, but 35 to 1, you're out completely.
Yeah, they just lost their best player. You can't lose an MVP candidate and still make the World Series. You can't. You're throwing money away. You might as well pick the Cubs at 75-1 or whatever they are.
I mean, I get it. Ronald Acuna Jr., big star, but they're not entirely built around Ronald Acuna Jr.
Hey,
Freddie Freeman's still there, okay? All-star Freddie Freeman.
Great. And who else you got?
It's a fair question.
Ozzie Albies is having a great year.
Right. So two pieces right there. They're getting good starting pitching.
Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson. Yeah, maybe they make a run at the wild card, but this team has no chance in the postseason. None. They will get smoked.
I certainly think it's a long shot, but again, if you're looking at teams in that area, I think I would rather take Oakland at 22-1, and I would even rather take the Yankees at 20-1 than the Braves.
All right, one team we didn't talk about yet before we go, the Dodgers. I mean, obviously they're the favorite for a reason, but do you trust this whole Trevor Bauer situation to be resolved? And the next thing is you have to wonder what they're going to do at the deadline. Who are they going to go out and get? I mean, they're another team that can go out and get Chris Bryant and, have the bats to win it all. I mean, I could definitely see them go back to back, but I'll side against the repeat. When's the last time we saw a repeat champion in Major League Baseball? It's been a long time.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that they today, as we're recording this video, the administrative leave for Trevor Bauer extended through July 27th. And I've said this about issues in the past. I'll say it for issues moving forward, including this one. I'm just going to let the process play out. He's currently not playing baseball. I'm not factoring him into any decisions I make in terms of looking at this baseball team as a whole, because I don't expect him to pitch for them at any point the remainder of the season. If he does, for whatever reason, then I'll adjust my predictions from that point. But I think the only thing to do at this point is to let the legal process play itself out. He's currently not pitching for them. I don't expect him to, and we'll go from there. And I think what that means is they'll then in turn look to make a move for some starting pitching. They'll want to bolster that rotation. They'll look to maybe acquire another bat. The one thing we know that the Dodgers do really well is they develop talent, and they develop the minor league talent that they can ultimately then take and trade and feel really comfortable about tapping into that system. They've been able to go out and make big trades at the deadline without giving up the Dustin Mays of the world, the Gavin Luxes of the world. They've been able to do it without trading those guys because of how well they develop players. Right. They continue to do that. They still have a farm system that's loaded that they can tap into to get players. And I think they will do that if they feel they need to do something to get them over the hump. By the way, their division's really close, so they might feel that they need to do something if they want to make sure that they win the division over the Giants and the Padres. So I think if we take a 10,000-foot view here and maybe expand out from the betting thing for just a second, the NL West is going to create a very interesting trade market here over the next 2 weeks or so. I think it's going to create a lot of activity because I think all three of those teams are going to look at each other and say, okay, we have to one-up what you do because we need to keep pace to make sure we can win this division. So I think it's going to be fun, and that's what makes the second half of baseball so good is that we have these divisional races.
Yeah, and I know the Giants are winning the NL West right now. I just can't see them holding on. And I think the Padres will be one of the wild cards, and they're going to have to win that one-game playoff, probably against the Giants. And I would take my chances considering, if they put a Yu Darvish out there against Gausman. I'll take my chances on Darvish in a big game like that. But at this point, you're right. It's wide open. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I'm really bummed that my team on the north side of Chicago went on an 11-game losing streak and is toast. I hope Chris Bryant doesn't go to your Mets, but then again, with my bet, maybe I should hope for that to happen. Yeah, you
may want to root for that for a little bit. All right, that's going to do it for us here. Another All AZ Bets video in the books. Another one coming to you next week. Haven't decided what topic we're going to cover yet. We might go back to football and do some college-related stuff, maybe some pro stuff, but we'll see ultimately what happens. You can see it on the background there for Eric. Make sure you follow him with his Wildcat Country podcast that he does with Shane Deal. Big interview that they did on the show that dropped yesterday. They got the head football coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Jed Fish, to join them on the show. So go check that out. You can see me on this stuff and more shows coming. I know I keep teasing this. There's a lot of things in the work. There'll be more content here on All AZ Sports. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the YouTube channel here, All AZ Sports on YouTube, and then allazsports.com. Everybody have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you next week.